it's Ashley, your Southern Lesbian. How are you? Welcome back. Nice to see you. So today we're going to talk about overgiving. We're kind of on a theme here. Have you noticed? If you've been paying attention, there's a little through line running through these episodes as of late. And today we're going to talk about building healthy relationships again, which is something that I am currently in process on, y'all. So you're going through it with me. You're welcome. If you already know it all, skip on ahead and or tell us in the comments what to do. Do y'all ever notice that a lot of times we tend to think that love is this thing out there and that we only feel it when this other person gives it to us, right? So we're going to talk about that today and how to cultivate that within ourselves. Ashley, I don't want to cultivate my own love within myself. I want to hold a woman. I understand, Broomhilda. We're going to get into that. I'm going to do my absolute best to explain to y'all what I've learned about how having that love for yourself is what sets the tone for having those healthy relationships. What does it mean to celebrate yourself as the source of the love that you seek? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because I did too. You know how when you're not looking for love, when you've just said, I'm done with it, I'm not even going to think about it, that's when she shows up. Or even if it's somebody that you're not interested in, you just seem to attract people. Like, y'all, I went to this pub the other night with a friend who was in town, and I am not trying to attract straight men. We all know that, right? And if you're a straight man here listening, God bless you, but you've come to the wrong lesbian podcast for what you're probably looking for. Anyway, these three straight men at the bar, just like, and their attention was on me as the single woman, wiggling through trying to get a drink from my friend. Oh my God. And one of them followed me back to the table, and it was just like, I'm just making a case in point. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that sometimes no matter how much you're like, thank you very much, I'm moving, hey, nice to meet you, I'm going to go talk to my friend over here. But that's what I'm talking about. It's that vibe that you give off of like, I'm not looking for anything, that sometimes obviously feels like a bit of a challenge to some people. I think what it's really giving off is a sense of, I don't need you. Because if you already have everything you need within yourself, you really don't need somebody. You want somebody, but there's a difference in wanting somebody and giving off that vibe of like, oh, I really need you, and are you noticing me, and am I saying everything right? Am I doing everything right? Is my hair okay? You know what I mean? So let's talk about how to be in that place from a healthy perspective as it pertains to women. So we show love to ourselves. I love a good spa day, do not get me wrong. But what I'm talking about here is energetically. I'm not talking about just taking yourself on dates or just doing little eye masks and doing nice things for yourself. I'm talking about energetically, like being that love you seek. So the biggest thing that I feel like I was lacking when I felt a little bit of that desperate, oh, love me, love me, love me, was self-respect. How do we give ourselves more self-respect in those relationships and in those situations and make sure that what we're building, what we're setting ourselves up for with our partner has that self-respect? Because the thing about that whole not searching for anybody thing is you're grounded, right? You really are centered when that's the space you're coming from. All you care about is having fun out with your friends, by yourself, whatever you're doing. You're really focused on being happy within yourself. And that's the juice, y'all. Spa days aside, like I was saying, loving yourself is really about saying, I will not abandon myself to make someone else comfortable. Healthy love can only flow between two full cups, not one that is just emptying itself out and emptying itself out and emptying itself out and depleted while the other one is overflowing. And you know what I mean? Like you got to have a balance there. Sometimes when we start dating people we're really excited about, we'll jump ahead in our timelines and we'll picture those little romantic getaways. We may even plan one sooner than we should. And I'm not saying don't go do fun stuff and go see things, but just, y'all know, like the minute that physical line is crossed, it's on and away that train ain't stopping. That train ain't stopping. So this is where I think it's so important to set this up the right way. And the difference is, rather than forcing a connection, because this is what I've learned, in those moments where I was trying to do, and make this person see all my best qualities and love me, when you're in that initial stage, and they're doing it too, they may be the one doing it to you, is that you're really not allowing the space for connection to unfold. You're creating connection, sure, but sometimes it's so much that it's not realistic in the way it's being set up, And allowing it to unfold, I think, is going to show me who this person is, after all the spark starts to die down. We don't ever want the spark to wear off, but it's going to die down. And I want to know, I want to see this person through some seasons. I want to know how they show up when life gets hard and communication gets hard. And I want to know that if I try to slow things down a little bit, that they also can be patient. And as I say this, y'all, I am so very guilty of not being patient. When I'm into you, I'm into you. And it is so hard to slow that down. And I've heard tales from both sides of the camp. I've heard my friends, because I have polled them, trust me, and asked them about this process of slowing things down, if they're in healthy relationships. And some of them, of course, have said, you got to see somebody in all their seasons and take it slow and enjoy that, stretch that out in the beginning. And then I've also got friends who are in very successful, beautiful relationships who say, life is messy. You can't slow that down. Just dive in and figure it out. Well, Broomhilda, let me tell you something about figuring it out. I'm done with messy. I've been through the messy, and some of us didn't grow up with the emotional tools. So the messy is really hard and painful, and I don't want to do that anymore. It's like we said, the danger of giving in too much too soon is that brain chemistry. All those attachment hormones are just flying off the handle. All of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm in a relationship now. So how do we do this? How do we set up this self-respect, right? Well, in the beginning, I would say, for one, just do simple stuff like we've talked about before, by taking turns paying for things. As a recovering people pleaser and someone who always wanted the upper hand in relationships and control, and that's just fear, y'all. That was just my fearful insider with no skills and no real understanding of how relationships work, that I thought that was the way to keep things going in the way they should. And that comes from childhood. That comes from an upbringing and watching dynamics that weren't healthy. I always wanted to be the one that paid for everything, because then I thought, I had a little upper hand on you. Well, that's pretty up. I've also dated those people once I released that, because y'all know, again, that pendulum swings like this, right? I was way over here, and then I started dating people over here who were controlling and wanted that upper hand in a sense, and I sat back too far. We can do things like, hey, I'll pay this time, you pay next time, you pay this time, I pay next time. You can split it, you can each pay, whatever it is. Just the point here is that I've learned is energetic balance. You don't want to feel like you're giving more, and you don't want to feel like you're being taken advantage of. So make sure, this is really important to set up in the beginning. And by the way, y'all, I just want to say something on that note of paying for things and that control aspect. If somebody buys you dinner, even a really nice, especially if it's a really nice, expensive dinner, you don't owe her anything. You don't owe her anything if she offered to do it. This often is the case, right? Well, Ashley, my relationship isn't financially the same. Like, one person makes a lot of money, one person doesn't. So if that person who makes a lot of money keeps insisting on going to all these nice places and just wants you as the companion, well, say thank you. That's what you owe. Say thank you. You can do little nice things for them in return too, but do not feel like you have to match this. And if they are in a healthy place, they'll be cool with that. They'll be really happy just to have you along for the ride because they enjoy your company. They're not expecting you to give something fully in a place that you can't match, you're not going to be able to take them maybe to the same expensive type of outings, and you certainly don't owe them anything physically. You don't owe them sex. You don't owe them anything more than, that was really cool. I enjoy hanging out with you. Thank you so much for that. I mean, if you're into them, you're going to want to give them more than that. But you know what I'm saying. Again, energetic exchange. Make sure we're being respected and we're being respectful. And recently I was listening to a podcast, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I heard a lesbian on there saying, well, if she ain't giving it up by date 3, I'm out of there. And that's fine. Listen, I've been in that phase of my life. But that's not where I am now. And if you're listening to this, I'm guessing that's not where you are now. Those aren't your people. They're not my people. Let them go. If they're pushing for that up front, then let them go. It's not your people. If you're wanting to build something that's going to take some time to see people in their seasons, to really get to know someone and lay the foundation brick by brick, listen, this is hurting my own feelings as I say this, because again, if I'm into you, I'm really into you. And we're lesbians. We got the U-Hauls. We like things to move quickly. We're women, 2 women, period, talking together. We have a lot to say. We go deep real fast. And listen, if you're aligned on everything real fast, great. But how do you really know? I mean, in the beginning of any relationship, all you're really looking at is what you want to see, because your brain, with all that dopamine and all those chemicals, are looking for those things you have in common. It's looking for confirmation bias, right? Of like, oh, it's right. She loves this too. Oh my God. She doesn't drink. Oh my God. All the things, they start to line up, and then, again, you wake up one day and you're like, holy shit, I'm in a relationship. And then the things start coming out that you're like, why didn't we talk about this sooner? And having those conversations, we're going to talk about now, like what it means to get in over our head in these moments and be in the thick of that. So we kind of see the contrast here of why that's not a good idea. You know this, but why does it happen? So here's an interesting tidbit, and I've brought this up before. People who grew up with complex PTSD, which is a lot of the gay community, trans community, bisexuals even, I don't know. Anybody who has had to silence a part of themselves, or who were told that their voice didn't matter, or just kept quiet, stifled themselves because they were afraid to let their full voices be heard and selves be known. Well, guess what? We are the ones who most often stay silent in our closest romantic relationships. Either stay silent or fight, because that's what we're used to. We grew up thinking that our voices didn't matter, and we knew that we had to fight to be heard, or we expected pushback. So no wonder we have to talk about it ad nauseum on a freaking podcast. And this boundary setting, this starts early. This starts in childhood. So that's why it's a beautiful thing to practice on your family if you haven't already. I mean, I'm in my 50s, y'all, and I'm still practicing boundary setting with my family, because we all, those roles that you're placed in childhood, whether you like it or not, might not be the roles that you evolve into in adulthood. And sometimes there are expectations placed, or there are just ideas about you or about your siblings, and you got to take the time to sort of rejigger those positions and make sure everybody now is comfortable and feels respected and is being respectful of those new relationships. It's exactly the same. It's the same at work. It's the same wherever. You could start in an entry-level position and people only see you as the intern. And as you climb the ranks and now you're somebody's boss, they're still looking at you down here and disrespecting you. So life hands us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to practice setting these boundaries, because once you get there, you're going to start having people in your life who are more respectful. And I know law of attraction and all that stuff says that they'll start coming to you. I think, personally, it's just that you don't suffer that bullshit anymore. You hear somebody say certain things to you and you just kind of go, no, it's not for me. I'm not even going to waste my time with that person now. Truth is clarity. Clarity is truth. And by withholding your truth in your romantic relationships, you're really doing yourself a huge disservice and your partner a huge disservice. And I speak from experience, and it was a painful one. And here's the thing, that stuff always comes out. The truth will always come out and blow things up unless you have those conversations. The reason that we do that is because we're afraid. We're afraid that if we say this, we're going to lose our partner. We're going to lose this person that we care about very much. And I've known that before and kept silent and just hoped that my opinion would change. I think we talked about last time, I said, well, we know that relationships are compromise and you want to compromise. So I sat on things for a while that I thought, okay, let me just see how I feel about this. Maybe I can change my mind about this really important thing to me. Well, turns out I couldn't. And at the end of the day, you owe it to yourself to honor your own truth and the things that are important to you. You owe it to yourself to have those conversations, even if they're hard, because the truth is a real foundation. The truth is what you can build your relationship on, and then trust that it's going to be strong enough to hold those hard times, whatever else comes in. It's built on honesty. You may think that by letting this thing slide or compromising on this big thing to honor your partner's big thing, that you're being, the good girl, the kind one, the one that always shows up for somebody. What you're doing is abandoning yourself. And that is a horrible, horrible feeling. So let's say that you've got something that you're really like, this is something that I need. It's one of your non-negotiables. It's a big one. And you haven't spoken up about it because you're worried that your partner's not going to like it. And maybe you'll lose that person, okay? So your non-negotiable would take you kind of this way on your path. If y'all were to go together, it would kind of go this way. But instead, the relationship keeps pulling you this way, this way, this way, this way. So this is coming farther and farther away. Your relationship's going this way, right? So the longer you stay in that, you're going to be so resentful because you feel your needs aren't being met and this person's getting what they want and what they need, right? Also, when the truth does come out, because it will, this person's going to be really fucking pissed and they're going to feel resentful because you weren't honest with them in the beginning and they didn't get the opportunity then to make their choice based on truth. And I'm guilty of it, y'all. We all have that fear of losing someone. But now I realize that if I lose them in my moments of truth, they were never meant to be. And I get it. You have a really strong connection. You really care about these people, right? You've had visions of being with them for a long time, maybe the rest of your life. But guess what that is, y'all? That is called a fantasy because you haven't given them your truth. Ouch. I know, ouch. Trust me, it is painful. My life coach used to say, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I started sort of living by that mantra. It's a good one. You're welcome to steal it. Because the more you build your foundation on lies, it has to crack wide open at some point. And when I say lies, okay, what I really mean here is avoidance. If you're avoiding your truth, that's what I'm talking about. The relationships that are built on truth and where you speak your truth, they might go away as a romantic partner, but I would think that they would at least really respect you for being honest, standing in your truth, and then maybe there's an opportunity to be friends there. You sit in that too long the other way and push someone towards a life that they don't want and push yourself towards a life that you don't want, that's not going to end well. So the next thing that life coach taught me too was she had another good saying that said, don't confuse history with loyalty. And I was like, what? So do you want to be one of those people that knows in your gut that something's off? You know you're not getting your needs met. And let's say the relationship is a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, and you're hanging on because in the first 6 months it was magical. Don't confuse history with loyalty. If it was really great for this amount of time and as y'all have gone on, you're just not connecting anymore. I'm not saying don't do everything you can to try to work through things here. I'm talking about avoiding the truth. I'm talking about sitting on things that you're just afraid to say. I mean, I guess it could also be other things. If it's unhealthy, it's unhealthy. I don't know your relationship. I don't know you. If you're in something that's unhealthy for you, it could be abusive even. I mean, if you're in something like that, but you're hanging on to this one little sliver of like, oh, but I've seen this side of him or her or whoever before, and it's really beautiful, and I just want to get back there. That might have only been possible during those first months because maybe that's their pattern. I don't know. Maybe it's your pattern, but either way, don't confuse history with loyalty. And I get it. It's never going to be crystal clear. This is where faith comes in, right? This is where you have to trust that the universe wants you to be happy, and that when you make these choices, like we've talked about before, you are declaring to yourself, I need something healthier. I really want something healthier. Please send me something healthier. It's not going to be easy. I'm sorry. It's incredibly painful. But when you have that gut aching that you can't get past, you got to let it go. Just because it was beautiful doesn't mean it's beautiful right now. So what's the healthiest thing for you? Be honest whether you're staying because it's really working or you're just nostalgic for when it did. When I look at couples that have been together for a long time, and everybody's different, but I'm just talking about the examples that I'm thinking of and I know, I don't remember them ever going through these long periods of time where they were just grossly unhappy with each other. They're miserable and just tolerating each other. I mean, yes, they've gone through some rough patches, and even some of them have broken up and come back together, but and I'm not always saying that those connections are healthy either now that I'm thinking of it, but I'm just saying that you deserve to be happy. Counseling, is the other person open to growth? Are you open to growth? Sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes it's a book, but are y'all committed to doing the work that it takes? Like that above everything else, I swear, is what I'm looking for in a partner now. Like when times get tough, are you committed to staying and really figuring out what it is that can bring us back to level ground? Jefferson Fisher, y'all know that guy Jefferson Fisher? He says that really the way communication works, which I find this so fascinating and so true, is he said rather than each person defending their side and trying to communicate and be heard, it really is a matter of figuring out how to relax and untangle that knot. Because it's not a matter of one person being right, one person being wrong. It is a matter of what I said isn't what you heard and what your understanding of it is. So that's why a lot of couples counselors say it's so important to repeat back. What I'm hearing is blah, 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 blah. And just see if you're right, and because oftentimes, or something you've done, somebody mistakes, and you've got those stories in your head. I'm getting completely off base here. Anyway, ADHD, y'all, whatever. Here we go. Anyway, my whole point about staying in something that doesn't make you happy, or even if, let's say you've gone through a breakup and you're still looking back at it, longing for that same person who wasn't healthy, and you're just in this position of you've been single for a long time, and you're scared, I get it. But you're thinking back to like, well, I just wish that it would work out with that person one day. Or you're thinking that it's going to go the same way as it went with Broomhilda back there. I don't believe that the universe can or will send you someone else until you've energetically released what's holding you back. Like that is why it's so important to do this work, to remove these blocks. Like that is what healing work really is. You're not adding, you are adding skills, but what we're doing really is removing all those layers of conditioning that we didn't realize are holding us back, and getting back to our raw, true, beautiful souls that we came into this world with that weren't tainted by all this crap we've been through. I've been there. I've woken up before and realized that I was holding on to a version of somebody from the past that just, it was never going to happen, and how unhealthy it was for me, and that no matter how much I wished it for us, it just wasn't going to happen. Again, not a doctor, y'all. These are just thoughts and things that I've learned as I'm on this healing journey. I guess I hate that term too, but on this path, right? I thought about putting this podcast aside for quite a while, and I thought, Ashley, you could wait and be in a healthy relationship for several years and then come on and tell people what you learned. But I don't think that's where the juice is, y'all. I think that sitting in this point right here, where I am, going through it in real time, is where the juice is and where I can share with y'all, like in the moment, ouch, this is what my gut's feeling, or this is what I'm getting excited about now. Because if you're finding this where you're in that place too, I feel like it's just going to relate more. But just to be clear, I have not mastered any of this, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just a lady on the internet. But I do think that we can be works in progress and still offer wisdom to people who haven't learned yet or haven't been through the things that we've been through. And that's the beauty of podcasts, y'all. And that's why I have zero problems with anybody starting a podcast who feels led to do it. I am behind people who are, who have already learned this stuff and who are big speakers and whatever. Like, no, I don't know everything they know. Of course not. But, do I know a little bit more than somebody back here who's just experiencing these things for the first time, or they're my age and they've never heard it said in this way before? So if you are somebody who's thought about starting a podcast and you've got a topic, but you're like, I don't know, there's already so many people out there. Let me tell you something. Not everybody wants to hear it from that person that you think is the ultimate guru of all time on whatever your subject is. Just do the thing. So just to sort of wind this down, y'all, the act of loving yourself is really all about self-respect. And it's not, once you learn it here, it's done and over, and that's just the way your life's going to be from now on. This is a daily practice for those of us who didn't grow up learning that this is what we should do. So I have a few journal prompts for y'all, because I love a good journal prompt. How can I better balance my relationships between love, work, and self? How can I better balance my relationships between love, work, and self? I would encourage you to write down in each of those categories. Number one, where do I tend to overgive? Number two, where do I withhold out of fear in each of these areas? And number three, what is one action you can take this week to restore balance? The love that you're looking for, that I'm looking for, does start inside. It is all about the self-respect. If you're honoring yourself, if you feel that you've got you, that you're holding yourself, then it makes the stuff coming in at you just kind of irrelevant. It makes you that person, like I was talking about, that walks into that pub. I'm not trying to attract straight men. You really do have your own back. You really are making yourself happy. You're not waiting for someone to complete you. God, don't we just want to kill Jerry Maguire? Because you don't need it. You are happy to have someone because you want them. And I want that. I'm not saying I don't, but I really want to feel like I've got me. It's just going to feel better also because people respect people who respect themselves. I do. If someone holds their line with me, whether I like it or not, I sure as heck respect them because I know that they're doing what's best for them. So, yeah. All right, that's all I've got for you this week. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. And once again, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please tell me if you've got wisdom to drop in the comments. Please feel free to do so. I am not the only one that knows things here. This is a community. Y'all feel free to talk amongst yourselves too. If you haven't checked out the TikTok page, I say this to y'all again and again. It's they're a little bit crazy over there. I freaking love the TikTok though. I was so against getting on TikTok, but somebody convinced me to do it because of the amount of just truth telling that goes back and forth. It really is kind of wild. And there's a big lesbian community on there, by the way, if y'all aren't aware of that. I didn't like that, like the minute I turned it on and you flip through, it's like everything just talking to you and it feels like information overload. But once you get your little algorithm trained, then I've found some really cool stuff on there. I follow some really smart, wise people and a lot of really cool lesbian women. So just a thought. But y'all have a wonderful week. And thank you again so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. And I'll see you next time. Just a reminder, y'all, I'm not a doctor. Everything I share here is for entertainment and encouragement, not medical advice. The views you hear are mine or my guests, not my sponsors. Any similarity to real people is purely coincidence.